everybody is talking about going to Ireland, and what a great time. You know, I'm sitting there with Buzz and Sherry, and we're talking about the gift shops we're going to go see.
Souvenirs.
Souvenirs we're going to collect and where we're going to go. We were really jacked up.
We'd all picked out the certain things we were going to buy for certain people.
Some of us, I guess, were not a part of that discussion. But that's all right, guys. I'll get by that.
That's right.
Perhaps that's when I was off buying you guys souvenirs.
And I thank you for that. That's serious. That's one of the nicest things you've ever gotten for
You're
me.
so welcome. And Sherry?
I have mine on my desk today, Don. Thank you.
Yeah. And Buzz? I guess I forgot you. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. So anyway.
Thought that counts.
I'm sorry. I digress. So we're at the airport at 2:30. The plane is leaving at 3:30
Right.
to go to New York. The plane is supposed to arrive in New York at 4:30, which means we're going to have 2.5 hours to blow before the plane to Ireland leaves.
Yeah, at this point, the biggest concern for us was, God, it's an awful long time to have to sit in the airport. We wish it had been a tighter connection.
So we thought that, maybe we have to have a couple of drinks or something. That won't kill us. So we're all in very good spirits. And now it's 3 o'clock. And we notice that they haven't opened the little gate yet where the plane's going to be leaving. It doesn't have the little sign up that says to New York. But we get up and we go and we look at the monitors. Those TV monitors they got?
Yep.
And it says Washington, D.C. to New York, Kennedy Airport, 3:30, gate 14D or whatever it was, on time.
Yeah, now early on, we did find out that it wasn't going to be a jet. It was going to be one of those Snidely Whiplash planes that was going to take us up there. That
Howard Hughes Spruce Goose.
That was okay, though. We were all prepared for that. I had done my self-hypnosis, and we were all ready to get going.
A plane with propellers on it, everybody. So, plus not to mention the fact, Mike wasn't feeling good.
Yeah.
Because the night before, Mike had fallen off the wagon that he's been on a couple of weeks.
Do we have the frying pan sound when you say that? Because, that is kind of the sound that I made on Friday night, when I fell off the wagon. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That wasn't Friday night, was it?
No, not Friday night. It was Tuesday night.
It seemed like Friday.
Well, whatever. Mike was in that haze that he hadn't been in for a while, and more nervous than ever about flying. And then he found out that we're going on an airplane with propellers. But we're all still in great moods.
Yes,
right?
we are.
We're trying to snap Mike out of it. He's coming around. We're thinking we're going to have a good time. And then at 3:15, a woman comes over to the TWA flight. Our plane is supposed to leave in 15 minutes. And she says, "Attention customers, this flight has been canceled. Thank you." Now, we're sitting there scratching our heads going,
What do we do now?
what do we do now? So we go up to the woman. This is a TWA representative. The first of many TWA employees who did not have a smile on their face when they would deal with us, the consumers that made the airline what it is.
That's right.
Now, wouldn't you say this, guys, that she was the first in a long line of
yes.
uncooperative TWA sponsors?
And when you say the consumers that made the airline what it is, I'd like to just take myself out of that category. I don't want to accept responsibility for that.
So then we say to her, listen, we got to go to New York. We got to go to Ireland. And
Right.
she says, here's what you can do. And now I swear to God, I am not using a fake tone here.
No.
She goes, here's what you can do. Go to National Airport. We have a flight that leaves at 5 o'clock. That will get you on. Now, National Airport is, it might as well be a country away from where Dulles Airport is.
Right.
Yeah. And we say, we've got all this equipment. Keep in mind, we've got cases and cases of remote broadcast equipment that have already been checked on this flight now, which has been canceled.
And at this point, we are hip to the fact that she's probably suggesting this so that we will stay on the TWA flights. And we say to ourselves, well, this is a huge airport. There have to be other options where we can get out of this major airport to New York in plenty of time to connect, to catch our connection to Ireland.
Keeping in mind now that we've got all this radio equipment and stuff that's already been checked with the baggage, so we got to go back downstairs.
Yep.
We got to wait by the baggage claim area for all the crates to come out. Then we find out that out of Dulles Airport, going to Kennedy Airport, there are no other flights.
Right. No.
There are no other flights. United Airlines does not make the flight.
Mm-hmm.
TWA, that was it. So, it's now 4:45.
Right.
We all get the equipment, we get in a couple of cabs, and we haul ass across town in the middle of rush hour traffic to National Airport.
where we are planning to catch a 5:20 flight that will get us in there, however briefly. I mean, right before the connecting flight, it should get us in at about 6:35. It's not going to be a lot of time for connecting on an international flight, but it should be enough time for us to connect.
Well, you figure 30 minutes or an hour. We're still going to make it to New York by 6:20. That's 40 minutes before our flight leaves. It should be no problem.
That's right.
We get to National Airport. We are greeted with our second unfriendly TWA employee of the day.
Oh,
The person that is checking in the bags. Diana, now you're going to have to come in here and give me a handle on this. A handle on this story. Give me a hand with this story.
This is when I think, Diana, you got your first real
The guy at National?
Yeah, you could be right there, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, we had to get in there and we had to change all of our tickets because we had the tickets for the other flight.
Right.
And I get up there and I'm explaining, we've come from Dulles. They canceled our flight. We're here to check, these new tickets. I have 6 of us. We're in a hurry. We got all this gear we're trying to check.
Mm-hmm.
And right away, he saw that I was in a hurry. He could tell, he could sense the urgency, and he said, "Now, you have 6?" I said, "Yes, here are the tickets.
No,
all of
the
them are
guy
here."
was talking like this to Diana like you would talk to a 2-year-old. You know how when someone just doesn't want to give you the time of day and they start going, "Now, I'm only going to talk to you if you calm down."
Right, and the average way that people work those computers is, you'll hear them punch the computer keyboard like this, going, and then you get these particular guys that go,
"You have 6 tickets."
We'll do those one at a time. And that is exactly, I am not exaggerating, this is exactly the way the guy was. And this is after waiting in line for quite some time.
We're waiting in line now for 20 minutes to check this stuff. And all right, and still, we're not bitching. We're not complaining. We're thinking, we got a little snag here. Sure, our cars and everything are back at the other airport.
which is somewhat of an inconvenience. Yeah.
But we're going to deal with this. So, the plane is supposed to leave at 5:20. We make it through the security. We got all the stuff checked on the new flight.
We're in plenty of time to catch the flight.
Oh, yeah.
Then it's 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
5:15. 5:20.
The plane has not begun to board yet.
5:30.
It's not even in yet.
I should point
Plane finally arrives at 5:30. Turns out the pilot went to the wrong gate.
What do we do now, Davy?
So now we're really flipping out. We got to be in New York in an hour and a half to catch the only flight we can be on to be to Ireland. But again, we're remaining calm
There's hope.
because we think the good people at TWA are going to get us in.
Sure, they do it all the time.
And to an extent, now the story starts to change and take a swing to the positive.
Yep.
After waiting, we finally take off at 5 minutes till 6 o'clock.
Yeah, now at this point, I'm having a discussion with Don, and I'm saying, he'll make, we start taxiing off at about, I would say about 20 before the hour. We're taxiing onto the runway, and I said, hey, this is great. We'll be up there in plenty of time. Don says, this guy won't get airborne before 6 o'clock.
Well, he made it up at 5. He got it up at 5. Excuse me. He got us off the air, off the ground into the air at 5 minutes till 6.
Which was, at this point, it swung back to the negative, where we kind of thought, there's no way he's going to get us up to New York on
It's a
time.
little close, but this time we were on an actual jet instead of a prop job.
Right,
and-
instead of a propeller job.
Yeah.
So we're on the way up there, and then the guy says, listen, we got some headwinds behind us. I see our arrival into Kennedy Airport at 6:40. We're like, oh, hallelujah. We got high fives all around. Hey, we're going to make the flight. It's still going to be tight.
We're going to do it! We're going to do it!
Understand now, this is normally what you can make in 30 minutes. You get on the airplane, and 30 minutes later, you're in New York. It's already taken us. We arrived at Dulles at 2:30, so now we've been traveling for 4 hours, and we're almost to New York. The plane lands. We are on the ground at 6:42.
Yeah, we applaud. I mean, it was so we were so excited about being on the ground because we're saying it's going to be tight, but we're going to make it.
Now, also I want to tell you that they were very aware that they had, trust me, they were very aware, that they had people who had to make a connecting flight to Ireland. I mean, there were other people on the plane that had other connecting flights. We were all talking to the stewardess, and she's saying, we're going to call ahead and tell them that you're on the plane. Anyway, at 6:42, we're not sweating it. We're figuring, we'll get out, we'll run to the next airline thing there, to the terminal, and we'll be on the flight to Ireland.
And the great thing about this is as soon as the plane landed, he was right there. It was just simply a left turn.
Oh, yeah.
He starts chugging over, and we're right at the gate where we're supposed to come in.
Now listen to this. As we're sitting on the plane, we can see the gate. Unfortunately, to get to the gate, It's like a situation where, have you ever been behind someone and you want to cross a street? Like you're at a four-way intersection, right? And there are no stop signs, okay? And you're behind a person that will never jump out. You got a person that's going to let every car that's going the other way
It's a good analogy.
pass you by. This guy let 4 airplanes who were taxiing for a runway cut in front of us. We're sitting on the plane and we are watching them. 1, 2, 3, 4 go in front of us. We are 5 feet away from the gate.
Right. And for each of those planes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
And that's with a party of 8 on board and a very, very expensive radio broadcast to move to Ireland.
Which they are fully aware of, including the
Yeah.
pilot, because the stewardess made it infinitely clear that we were all really anxious to get off that airplane.
Not to mention the fact they just canceled the first flight, then they get us up there, and this flight is a half-hour late, and we're just scratching our heads going, what do we got to do to get this? Well, as luck would have it, the doors opened at 6:59.
As we sat on the tarmac, the optimism began to leave the room.
As we got off the plane, there's Connie Lingus from Aer Lingus. There she is. We see her. She's got on the green outfit.
Yeah.
She says, are you the guys that want to go to Ireland?
Yeah, we see a representative from Aer Lingus. We are excited because we're like, hey, they're waiting for us. They're going to take us to the plane.
Relief.
We go, yeah, we are. And she goes, the plane is left. Actually, it was a little more detailed than that.
She said the plane had been
It's already boarded,
It
yeah.
had boarded, and they're not going to hold the plane for us.
But again, yet another up and down for the afternoon. Then she said, well, let me try. She goes over the phone. We think, as long as she explains this,
This is 4 hours
You know.
of the most harrowing travel I have ever had. You know, we think this is going to be a cakewalk. We think it's going to be, we get on the plane, we go to New York. Hey, we're going to have a couple of drinks for a couple hours in New York. Maybe I'll call a friend of mine, shoot the bull with him. Then we'll get on the plane, we'll sleep all night, be in Ireland. Things will be great.
And when we met this representative, the first question, she said, well, they've booked the plane, they've boarded the plane, they're ready to take off. Well, how many passengers are you? I said, we're 8.
Yeah.
There are 8 of us. She said, oh, well, hold on. So, in other words, if it was 2 people, they wouldn't even give you the time of day. But she's going to make a phone call because now she realizes that it's 8 passengers.
Well, it's like 1/3 of the number of people that are booked on this flight to Ireland.
And she goes over, makes her little phone call, and, of course, hangs up the phone and says, in a very sensitive way, says, no, they're gone.
She sounded like the coffee talk lady, you know, from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Nope, they're gone.
Right.
And then Diana asked for assistance from a TWA guy, and this is when I saw Diana start to unravel.
Yeah, Diana finally lost it at this point, and rightly so.
I'm not sure what happened. I know that Diana came over to me, and I've never seen her so mad, and she says to me, Rob, like Laura Petrie used to do, she goes to me, how many stations are we on? I said, I don't know, 30, 32, I don't know. Okay! And I know she's just used this as ammunition now, and she goes right back to the guy, and I hear her just going, 32 stations.
And another TWA fellow that was equally sensitive to your needs, Diana?
Yeah, see, once we determined that we couldn't fly on to Ireland, I wanted them to stop our baggage, because our baggage had been checked through to Ireland. What they would have done is just sent it on the next flight to Ireland, no matter where, whenever, or unless we stopped it. So I just went up to the counter, and there was 3 of them there. There was no line. They were all just huddled around a computer, and I said, listen, can you help me with this? And they all looked up, and they said, we're preoccupied, you're going to have to wait.
So they said, we're preoccupied.
Right.
TWA, we are here to serve you. We're we're sorry, not, can you wait one moment, please, not, I will be glad to help you in a second.
And at this point, we are the lost, hurt puppies,
And-
all sitting in Kennedy Airport, all upset.
It was just now.
And then that went on for like 2 or 3 different times. They were still preoccupied. And finally, I demanded to see a customer service supervisor.
Oh, God.
And so they waited, and then finally he points out, he goes, here he comes now, and there's this little weasel guy who was like smaller than me, and he walks up to me, and I say hi, and I start to explain our story, and he pushes me aside, and he says, excuse me, I need to help board this plane. You'll have to wait.
And I'm serious. Physically pushed her aside.
That's right.
pushed her aside and said, I got to board this plane.
You're going to have to wait, he said.
But she got a little physical with him, which that was the high point of my day. I said, there she is. You grab that guy and you straighten him out.
I don't remember.
It was
I
great.
Really don't. All I remember,
You were in a zone.
I told him that it was in his best interest to not make me wait.
I think it was something like, just 1 minute, please. And he pushed by you and you went, no, not 1 minute, not 1 minute. You know, they had to realize, because they were all blowing you off, and they didn't, nobody cared. And finally, you had to make noise with this guy.
I really don't remember. I was in the
If you
zone.
could realize how frustrating this was, folks, we've been talking about doing this stupid show from Ireland for 3 months.
That's right.
The cost of the show, how much was it? $75,000?
Yeah, something like that.
Company spends $75,000. We got Guinness. They're advertising on our show. They're paying like $250,000 for advertising. 3 months, all of it, wiped out because we couldn't get to New York by 7 o'clock.
Unbelievable.
So then we start scratching our heads. Well, how do we get to Ireland? And then we find out that this is like the only flight. I mean, from Boston, from New York, from Philadelphia, from Washington. That's it. You want to go to Ireland, you got to go to New York, and you got to be on the 7 o'clock flight because that's the only plane that goes to Ireland.
Yeah, they are throwing combinations at us right and left about connecting at Heathrow in London.
Oh,
and then
I'm not
flying
going
over.
to Heathrow.
Yeah, and of course, not to mention the mortar shells, where
Yeah.
the layover would be prohibitive because we wouldn't be able to make the broadcast on time. And this is a true story. When the combinations just aren't working for us, this is the only option we have. So,
Oh, we're going to have to break for commercials. There's a lot more because TWA then screwed us over when we were trying to simply get back then.
That's right.
From New York to Washington. I'll tell you about that in a second. And in between, we had a real good dinner and we had a real good party in Queens. You know where we spent the night Wednesday night? And if you're familiar with Archie Bunker, One Life. What was the name of that show?
All in the Family?
All in the Family. You know, the opening scenes there when you go through his neighborhood.
That's right.
That's where we stayed last night.
We were psyched.
I mean, we could have bought crack if we wanted to. That's how close to the Queens
we felt
inner
like
city
it,
we
too.
were.
That's right. But if you can't go to St. Patrick Land, you bring St. Patrick Land to you.
So we did that. We'll tell you about that next. See, now do you understand, folks? Do you understand this? Do you understand why we are the way that we are?
I'm just glad they changed their slogan from "You're gonna love us." That's for sure.
Oh, the way back. On the way up was nothing. We wouldn't have raved out about it on the way up like we are if we hadn't been treated like we were on the way back by TWA.
That's right.
So we've got more great TWA stories coming up.
Gee, I went to the wrong gate.
And tell you about our night in Queens and more of why we are not in Ireland.
That's right.
And why we're not on vacation. We're not on vacation today.
It's not just a job; it's an adventure.
All right, we got a break. Thanks for listening. We got a whole bunch more, so stay there. We'll be right back.
This is the best of the Don and Mike Show.
So we all get the rooms, and then we meet for dinner. And this was a good part of the trip.
Oh yeah, we had fun.
This turned out to be a real happy party we were having. I'm not proud to tell you that we all had a little bit too much to drink.
Right.
And Diana wrote down some highlights of stuff that happened at our little dinner party. And here they are now. According to Diana, Sherry being forced to drink Sambuca
Yes.
was
yes.
a highlight. Yeah,
Never had that before.
we had some Sambucas.
Yeah, you were offering Sherry the Zambuca in a way that was basically having your arm fully extended across the dining table and about a quarter of an inch from Sherry's lips, going, "Drink, Sherry,
Drink it.
drink it up."
I believe my first drink of it, I said it tasted exactly like Robitussin. So it took a minute for me to get used to it.
And this stuff went right to Sherry's head, and then right away Sherry starts talking Chinese. Now
right.
Sherry doesn't talk Chinese. I mean, like she's like, "Oh, boy, that was a really good drink," and then the next thing you know, we all start talking like that.
We were festive. We were the most festive table in the room.
And anybody remember our waitress, Joan?
Joan, yeah.
Hey, Joan.
Hey, Joan.
And I think you had a special relationship with Joan because Joan, as loud and obnoxious as we all were, Joan seemed to really enjoy the table.
Yeah.
And I think she enjoyed that table because you were singling her out for special treatment and treated her right. You did. As much as
All I remember is screaming her name as loud as I could, going, "Hey, John!
just Joan.
We need some more drinks over here, John. Hey, John."
That's right.
Then let me see. I ate a flower. Apparently, Diana enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it looked like the kind of flower that was not your run-of-the-mill carnation. It was some
It was
exotic
an orchid.
flower. Yeah, it was
An orchid, and I was afraid you were going to die because you really chewed it up.
Anything for you guys. Anything for you guys. Mike O'Mara, I will point this out, was the only sober one among us, reason being that Mike had gotten polluted the night before, and from your behavior,
Yeah.
you had enough in your system to simply start the switch and rejuvenate it again.
Yeah, but you are absolutely wrong about that being the reason. The reason was that I was, after I spoke to you on the plane, when you asked me about the night before, when I kind of said I had quit,
Right.
and I had fallen off, and after I spoke to you, and you said, to stay with it, you gotta get right back on, you gotta hang in there, and don't let your willpower go down at all. You gotta, if you're gonna quit drinking, you're gonna do this, you gotta
Then I make it real easy. I give the speech and I make it real easy for him. Then we go out and get drunk in front of him.
You did that. You said that to me. So I'm sitting at the table, and I'm not, because I was not going to do that, because I said, well, Don's right. I'm going to hang right in there. Then we get down to dinner, and Don basically sits down at the head of the table and goes, drinks for everybody! And
Well, we had the night to blow.
I don't think I ever wanted to participate in a party more in my life, but I didn't participate because of well, it wasn't a lecture, but the advice you had given me earlier in the day.
And then the party moved up to Diana's room, where we ordered some more beers and we started watching television. All I remember about that is that Buzz was not in a fetal position, but Buzz was almost in a, like if you're at an altar praying.
Yeah, he was like kneeling on the bed, but
He was a
yeah.
praying mantis,
It would have been
Joe.
a long day. I put my head down to rest.
So we're really out of our minds. Like I was jumping on the bed and everything.
You were fun. You were having a
Yeah.
good time.
And we were really mad at TWA.
Yeah.
So we were all so drunk. We start crank calling TWA. Like we. Do you remember doing that, Sherry?
Oh, yes.
And Sherry, you had. Now I cannot
I know.
repeat
I know.
the profanities that you threw off at the TWA representative you spoke to, but Sherry won the prize for being the most vulgar.
Oh, it was truly rude and truly wonderful.
We were like going, yeah, hello, is this TWA? Yeah, do you have any flights to Ireland? Hey, screw you! And then we'd all laugh and we'd have another beer.
It was festive.
And do you remember when we also decided at some point, I guess it was Sherry that was saying, still in her Chinese
I
voice,
couldn't. That was the other thing that was scary. I could not stop.
I want to go disco dancing.
We go disco dancing. We go to Holiday Inn instead of Hilton.
So then we actually called. We called like this other hotel. Hi, do you have disco dancing?
Just like that. Just like that.
And they didn't. So we ended up just staying there. Gee whiz, what else happened? Well, a couple of things that I guess I can't talk about on the radio. We had some more great fun.
Yeah, we did. It was. I don't have the card in front of me, so I don't know what.
Well-
I don't know what you're editing there.
Here, I don't want to talk about that or that.
Okay.
Or that. There's three things I don't want to talk about there. See if you're with me on those, huh?
Okay,
Diana did write down everything that happened.
Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, okay. It's frustrating. They were all great. I wish we could, but we really can't.
I tell you this though, I don't know if David Letterman had a funny show or not on Wednesday night, but
It seemed funny to us.
to those of us that were in the room, it was the funniest thing we'd ever seen.
Yeah, the reality program we watched. I forgot the name of it. Highway Patrol.
Highway
Oh
Patrol.
yeah, that's right.
We got some pretty big laughs on that one
I
as
forgot
well.
about that one. Yeah.
So we're all just getting wasted and watching television, and about midnight, Sherry had almost, I guess, fallen asleep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she was next to Daryl in the fetal position, and I looked at Daryl's face, and Daryl was thoroughly enjoying that. Just the fact
Having
that-
a woman lay on the bed next to him.
Yeah, he wouldn't give in. Daryl always tries to be subtle, but his body language is always kind of like. So
Daryl told me later that when you laughed at something, that you would pat his thigh.
Oh,
and that
really?
and that he really was getting off on that. For whatever reason. There you go, Sherry.
That's right.
Thanks for sharing. I didn't realize that.
Do you remember when you said to me when I wasn't drinking, so I was sitting in the corner, and Sherry, at one point you were lying down, and then you sat up in bed and you looked over at me and said, "Oh, don't be so sanctimonious! Don't be so
But I
sanctimonious!"
was only kidding you, and I think Mike really took offense to that. Mike said, "I'm not being sanctimonious," because he was being the best sport in the world. If there was ever a night that someone deserved to drink, it was that night. And he was just as fun and as nice. And I said, "You just sanctimonious, Mike." And he said, "No, I'm not." And he really wasn't. I was just kidding.
You get paranoid when everybody else is partying and you can't. You get a little paranoid.
So we're all watching Letterman, and we're all just laughing our asses off. You know, like I said, I don't even remember if the show was funny or not, but it's like as soon as we came on stage, we're all going, oh, we love Dave. Still doing our Chinese voices. And then at one point, Daryl says, look at Sherry.
Mhm.
And we all look, and there, Sherry, like rolled up in the fetal position on this bed. Looks like she's just going to sleep. And out of the blue, then Sherry wakes up and she goes, I got to go to room, Joe.
I go to room now.
Yeah, that was it. I go to room now, Joe. and she got up and left, and we never saw her again. Oh, well, I mean, we saw her again. We saw her then the next morning.
That was the icebreaker. Everybody at that point decided to disperse and go to our respective hotel rooms. It was quite a night.
So we had a great evening at the hotel, and we went to bed with the thought that we would get up then,
Right.
Thursday morning, St. Patrick's Day morning. We would get on an airplane, fly back, and do a show for y'all yesterday.
Yeah.
Let me just say, the problem started then Thursday morning. I was first one up, and we were all in bed together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm first one up. It's like 6:15.
Just like the Three Stooges, everybody in bed together. Yeah, picture the Three Stooges when they're all in bed together. Only more people.
and a lion licking our toes. A big lion licking our toes. I get up and I look outside at 6:15, and it's snowing.
Oh boy.
And it is snowing like holy sin.
Mhm.
I mean, there's like 2 inches of snow in Queens.
That's right.
And they haven't predicted this, and it's like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, and the snow lands in Queens and it becomes immediately gray. It's neat.
So that's where we'll pick the story up when we come back. So now you've heard some of the bad stuff, where we were trying to make it to Ireland and we didn't make it.
Right.
Then you've heard some of the good stuff, where we had this great bit of camaraderie. We had a very good party. We found out that we all really do get along together. And Sherry's got like a whole roll of pictures of Mike.
I do.
A whole roll of pictures
He
of
was
Mike
not
doing,
sanctimonious during those pictures, let me
doing
tell
all
you.
kinds of weird
That's
stuff. We're going
right.
to put one of those pictures in an upcoming newsletter,
Yeah.
Mike.
That's fine with me. That won't be as bad as the one where I was flipping off the camera. I'll take it.
And then we tried to make our trek back, and that's when things got bad with TWA again.
Oh, my God.
So we'll tell you about that. We come right back after this.
You've got the best of Don and Mike.